If you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes a sacrifice.
Hey everyone, welcome to the OpenEd podcast. I'm Charlie Deist, and I'm joined today by a group. You guys are all part of a program called Nature Kids Connect, and this is sort of a community-based outdoor enrichment program. It's not a full-time school. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start. Annalise, you were the first one that I saw on the screen, and I wanted to ask a little bit about just how the program works and what a typical day in the life looks like.
All right. So usually people will get either dropped off or start out in the parking lot, and then we gather everyone and we start out with like a nature-related game or a game that's related to the theme of the day. And then after the game, we will usually go on a hike and then walk down to our sit spots. And sit spots are usually like a quiet time where we sit down and nature journal about everything we see for about like 30 minutes. And then after that, we eat lunch. After we eat lunch, we do some sort of activity that's also related to the theme of the day or month. It's usually related to nature, and
Free time.
and then after we do the activity, there's free time where we get to explore and wander around.
And so this is not an everyday program, but it's how many days a week, or does that depend on, do some people come some number of days, or is everyone there the same number of days each week?
Nature Kids Connect always takes place on Friday, and it's from 10:30 to 2:30. Yes.
I wanted to ask you a question about kind of how this differs from what you're doing maybe the other days of the week. I'm curious, and anyone can also jump in with this, but do you feel like, Fridays are sort of a special day that you look forward to because it's a break from being inside and maybe more on a computer screen, but kind of paint a little bit of a contrast between what your Friday looks like versus some of your other days?
Usually on Friday, you just I always thought of it as like, oh, I get out of school early, But after a while, because like I've been doing this for, 8 years? 7? Yeah, since I was like 8 and I'm 15. And with all the other days, you usually do, like your daily classes, if you're homeschooled or if you're not. But then when Friday rolls around, you get to like go outside and, enjoy nature. Because, it's just really nice outside usually, except in the winter. And if you don't bring the gloves, proper ones, you will feel the wrath of frostbite and lose your pinky.
You can't lose your pinky.
Awesome.
No, it's gone.
So,
It has no pinky.
so this is sort of, whether there's snow on the ground or not, it's still on. What about the really rainy days, or what do you do if it's inclement weather, like really, really rough?
Usually, the weather that we've experienced is like it'll rain and then it'll probably stop. But there was one time where we met in this park that's close. It's like it kind of separates Sandy almost from Draper, except it's all in Sandy, and it's called Dippeldale, if you've ever heard of it. And we met up there a few times before we got kicked out by the elderly. And we were all gathering, and all of a sudden, just this horrible storm rolled in. It was
Oh my gosh.
absolutely horrible. It was like March, maybe. There was like still snow, but it was like really cold out. And it got so bad that we all had to huddle in this kind of like up against the hill. And we just stayed there for the rest of the day until we left at like 12:30.
Yeah.
We didn't even make it to the activity. We all just left because it was miserable.
A house and a tree got struck by lightning, and that was awesome.
But the worst thing we've had. But, rain or shine, we're there.
We embraced the weather.
Snow as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if in 8 years there's only one day that you can remember where you had to go for shelter, then you guys must be pretty robust in terms of the elements. And I think that this sort of speaks to a different kind of learning that takes place in an outdoor environment. I know in my life, I've found that some of the most intense learning experiences came when I was faced with some sort of circumstances outside. Plus, it's a much broader sort of horizon. Instead of narrowing your focus down onto the page that you're working on or a screen, you've got you mentioned the journaling. I'm curious if anyone wants to share anything about a particular experience during that journaling and observation period where you saw something new, or there was some kind of new connection that you made about maybe something that you had been learning in the classroom or in a more sort of structured indoor learning environment that crossed over. And yeah, anyone in the back row there, you're welcome to pipe up. But anyone that something that jumps to mind.
Usually we don't journal, and I am a part of that group. I was, not now, I was. There was this one time where I was like, you know what, I should probably journal. And this one time I found this really interesting part of the park, and it was a bird murder scene. This is back like 7 years ago. No, like 5 years ago at Dimpledale, and there was a bird murder scene. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna journal about that. Try to figure out what happened to this poor little bird. And I think so that around the scene, I saw some fox poop and fox tracks. So I thought, oh yes, it's gonna be a fox. It's gonna be a fox. And then I showed my mom. She's like, that's dog poop, and those are dog prints. And I just always moved that because I was like dead off. But yeah, it was really good. It was fun.
Some forensic analysis. You're a track. I feel like that you're a regular Sherlock Holmes in the making there.
Well, like Harry.
I once had a doctor tell me I thought that I had some sort of exotic flesh-eating bacteria on my foot, but it turned out it was just an infected mosquito bite. And he said, when you hear hoof steps, don't look up and expect to see zebras. It's probably just horses, something like that. But I like where you were going with the thought there. Anyone else want to share any specific, something that you observed? It could even be a mundane thing that just caused some sort of a connection in your mind.
I have one. When we were still, because like when you're doing it in Dimpledale and like in the mountains or if you go hiking, the chances that you're gonna see like a wild animal like a rabbit or a fox or a coyote is like higher, especially in Dimpledale. And one time about 4 years ago, I was sitting down kind of where this bridge is. There's a bridge that goes over where the river runs in the summer. Doesn't in the winter. And I was sitting there, and all of a sudden there was like a little rustle in the bushes, and out comes this like gray coyote. And it was missing half of its ear. And I was like, oh wow. So I kind of paused, and it like was eating something. I never found out. I like went to investigate after it left, and there was nothing. But I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like I've never seen just this coyote that could probably take me down, a little 11-year-old. So I just nature journaled about that. I still have the little entry in one of my nature journals that I don't use anymore.
Speaking of wild animals, we do a backpacking trip, or we have for the past 2 years, and we go to the same place. And this year, we had lots of encounters with wild animals, especially me and my group. So when we first entered, there's this 2 hikers that came back and were like, have you seen any wild animals here? And they said, you'll be lucky if you see a badger, because we saw one, and it's really lucky. So we went up, and we saw a badger. We'd never seen one before. We just saw a badger in the field, moving around. And we're like, wow. So at this place last year, we saw a moose, deer, and tons of wild animals. So now we saw a badger. The next day, me and my friends ran into something a lot bigger. So when you go to the bathroom there, of course, you have to go and find a place. And Taven, one of our friends that go there, ran back to camp and said he saw a bear when he was going to the bathroom on the trail, on the poop trail. So, yes, poop trail. And then me and my friends were like, you know what's a good idea? We should go see if we can see that bear again.
Oh my God.
So me and my friends, I won't say names, ran up and went to the place where we saw it. And we're like, there's nothing here. We just went a little closer. And then one of my friends was like, there's something in that tree.
Oh gosh.
We looked over and we saw a baby cub slide down a tree with their little ears and everything. And we left and we're like, oh, there's a mama cub. Wait, there's a mama bear. There's a mama bear. And it started moving towards us. We were on a hill. And we're like, oh crap. And we ran so fast down that hill. It was crazy, yeah.
Oh my god.
We saw bears there. A mama bear and cubs.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, talk about file that under things that won't happen in your science classroom. That's right up close. So you mentioned this is one of the annual backpacking trips. This is sort of the more immersive experience. But in the every week situation, Dimple Dell, you mentioned Dimple Dell. That's a park or some sort of a nature area closer to you. Can you set the scene a little bit more of what's around? You know, is it in a neighborhood or is it a little bit more off the beaten path?
Oh yeah, so Dimple Dell, it's a really, really big park. Is it a canyon? Oh, it's like a canyon. Yeah, it stretches like 600 acres and it's really big. There's like a trail, like a mulch trail that you can go on, and like when there are like some patches that branch off of the mulch trail, and some of those paths lead to really cool places in Dimple Dell. So that's why it's been like our main park for a couple years. And oh yeah, there's a lot of wildlife. We've had a lot of fox sightings, weasel sightings, deer sightings, lots of birds, turkey sightings, different insects, including ground nest of wasps, which was very traumatizing,
Yeah, someone got stung.
and then frogs.
That's awesome. You know, I've got some turkey stories. I'm living out in the country right now, kind of in a rural area, and we just picked up some turkeys from someone, not wild turkeys, but a breed of turkeys that we're trying to raise in time for Thanksgiving or fatten them up. And their characters, I'll tell you. But another story about turkeys. I come from a town called Berkeley where there are wild turkeys that run all around, and these turkeys act like they own the place in a totally urban environment. They'll stare down a bus, a huge bus, and just be like, yeah, I'm right here. But somebody told me recently that if you just go up to them with a little stick and hold it in front of their face, they'll totally freak out and they'll run away. So you can try that. Just pick up a little twig and hold it in front of the turkey and see what they do, because they just don't know what it is.
Turkey.
Yeah. No, but I can imagine that, you know, these experiences that you're getting, you know, it's totally irreplaceable in terms of if you were in a traditional school 5 days a week, it'd be very hard to sort of recreate this. What kinds of things, like, is this one of the primary places that you interact with people, you know, other young people, or like the other days of the week, are you engaged in other kinds of things, you know, in a community, in a group setting, at least during those what would traditionally be, I guess, the school hours, and anyone can jump in on this one as well.
I think Nature Kids would be like our main source of like social interaction. I mean, some of us have extracurriculars, but Nature Kids, we have the majority of our friends are there.
And we
Yeah.
also do different co-ops. I mean, some of us do it together, and like it's just like more classes, more fun.
Yeah, and then we also organize like events
Mhm.
for the group, and then extra people to go.
Yeah.
Different places.
And would you say that the kinds of friendships that you form in an outdoor environment, does it change the nature of those friendships? Again, speaking from my experience, some of my closest friends, those friendships were all forged in a sort of outdoor environment. So I don't know if this is just one data point for me, or if you have a shared sense of that you're free to maybe come out of your shell a little bit more, be more yourself, anything like that.
When you run from a bear with your friends, definitely forms very strong connections. Like you're like, wow, we ran from that together. And also, we do lots of camp outs where lots of more crazy stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, also, so we decided 2 years ago that me and my friends were not going to sleep in a tent. We were going to bring as many hammocks as we possibly could, and make a hammock
Sanctuary. Yeah.
So this last camp out, we had like 20 hammocks, and like 15 of them slept in, and it was just crazy.
They were all like piled on top of each other, like crisscrossed, and like it was
Yeah, it was-
awesome.
And last
Pretty
time we did camp out, her dad brought a full pig, just put it over the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It was yeah. Everyone, like all the little kids, were like like yelling to the parents. They're like, "They're cooking a pig!" And then all the parents were like, "Oh, okay, they're cooking the pig." And then when they actually went over to our family's campsite, they were like, "Oh my gosh, they're actually cooking a pig!"
Pulled from Costco, not sponsored.
And did any of you get involved in that, or was it more just observing the pig? Was it on a spit, like one of those rotating spikes?
It
was
was.
on
It was on the spit.
It was rotating, and her dad actually, someone had brought him like a little apple about like that big. He was like,
Right.
"Oh yeah, this is perfect." And he kind of held up the jaw of the pig and put it, but it wouldn't go in, so he went, "Oh, pow!" and put it in, and there was an apple in the pig's mouth while it was cooking.
That's kind of the classic image, right, of the pig. This is like what the wolf and the three little pigs. He's salivating, just waiting to do that to the pigs. But I think in the end, he was foiled. We all know how that story ends. Anyone else want to share a story of kind of bonding in the outdoors? Maybe one of you in the back that hasn't had a chance, or anyone. Annalise, you too.
Here, Adrian, you can explain the food challenge.
Yeah, we also do like a food challenge where we give
It happens every camp out. Well, yeah, usually.
and we camp out, and then my dad make
You got it. You got
Our
it.
dad gets a bunch of like weird foods like century eggs, chicken fetuses, fish sauce, a bunch of weird.
Live crickets. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Live crickets. That's fun
A
stuff.
chicken heart.
a bunch
Was
of very unappetizing foods.
Fish oil.
Oh yeah, and then people eat them as like a challenge, and then like people who last throughout the end get to choose a prize.
Which one did you
Did you do that?
do? I was the only one here then. I think I was the only one here that participated in the challenge.
Tell them,
Yeah,
tell them about
Adrian.
your experience.
So my
you
goal was
did?
to do it to the very end, so they said they had this special food for us at the end, and I figured out at the end it was a chicken, a fully formed chicken and an egg. Like it was a fully formed chicken, like all that. It was nice and
Did you get to cook it, or did you have to eat it raw?
strange.
Yeah,
food.
raw.
Okay.
It was hard boiled.
Oh, okay. It wasn't
Hard-boiled.
raw. It
It
was
was
hard
live
boiled.
chicken. Like
Perfect.
chicken inside.
Hard boiled, no problem. I always say I'll try anything once, but that wasn't always the case. It wasn't until kind of being forced to try something new. And I think that's so true of a lot of things in life where like we think we're going to really hate something, but then we give it a try, we see what happens, and then we're like, hey, you know what? That wasn't so bad. We just always stay within our comfort zone. Then what? I don't know. Then it's we don't learn. We don't learn nearly as much. I heard that there's also like an entrepreneurship program as part of Nature Kids Connect. Are any of you in that program as well? Want to talk a little about what that entails?
Yeah, the class we're in right now is the entrepreneurship class. We're like the admins
We're
of.
missing a few.
Yeah, we're missing. Wait, are we?
No.
Luke isn't going to be here. Yeah, so basically, the class or the people who are doing this interview right now are part of the entrepreneurship group. And basically, we're in charge of like the back end stuff of the group, which is like managing the website, social media, and expenses and stuff like that.
Awesome. So you're actually getting some hands-on project-based learning in how the company itself is run, that you're a part of the programs.
Yep.
Can you tell a story maybe about some kind of problem solving in that context where you maybe didn't have all the answers or the information, but how you came to figure out a solution for that?
Well, we just recently started this entrepreneurship group. So we haven't really had any issues yet.
You're just
Yeah,
acing
we
all the
only part-
tests.
First week, last week. And then we have a hike this Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Where we get up at 2 a.m. to hike Timpanogos.
We have to
be
be
there
there
at
at 2 a.m.
Oh
And
my
we're going to
goodness.
hike Timpanogos and see the sunrise.
It's a 18-mile hike round trip.
Wow. And what was this? I heard something before we got started about a Grand Canyon trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have a Grand Canyon trip in March, was it?
Yeah, it's optional. So
May.
not
Oh,
every-
May.
Yeah.
May. And how long
24
was
miles.
it? 24 miles.
Is that the
Okay,
rim
so-
to rim? Going down
Yeah.
down into the, oh, that's awesome. I've never done it before. I've never gone down into the canyon, but I was invited to do this. So you guys already did that, or that's coming up next May?
So me and my mom, we basically started my mom started a group like 9 years ago. Me and my mom did it with my brother. I think last year. June, yeah, June. This year. Same thing. It feels like last year. Last school year. And it was mentally difficult, very, very difficult. Like 24 miles, and that one, it was not great.
It's optional for the
Yeah.
whole entire group, so that not everyone has to go, but it'll be still really fun for the people who do go.
Yeah, not many people could say like, "Oh, I hiked to the Grand Canyon when I was a kid." I'm still
For
here.
sure. Even as an adult, I'm very intimidated by it. And Harry, you mentioned that, first of all, you mentioned the weather, and I assume that's referring to the heat of the time of year when you did it that time, or and you also said that it was difficult mentally, but what about physically? What's your biggest tip for someone who hasn't done it yet?
Just know that it's going to be really long, and when you're going up, you're going to want to die because of all the steps.
At the end, right? That last ascent to the top. That's the hardest part.
Because when you get to the bottom, you realize the only way out is up, no matter what.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
'cause
And that's after 22 miles or something of hiking, right?
It's like how much ride? How many miles up is it?
7.
It's 7 miles up, so like
7 miles up.
Oh yeah.
Wow. And what about water? Do you bring your own water with you, or do you have to stop for water at the river?
So we have a very big Camelback, like in our bag, and then 2 water bottles on every person.
Okay.
We have water.
But they
No-
also do have water for us to fill up.
So maybe there's a mule coming along for the ride, or are you the mule?
Like at the bottom, they have places to fill up water.
I see. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I was picturing having to carry a full day's worth of water on my person. So let's kind of start. We're going to start to wrap this up. How do you see this program shaping both your current education, but also maybe your future interests, or what you want to do, in your next chapter of life?
So I just joined. So this is my first year doing Nature Kids. But I think the appeal is just doing a class outside of a building and just being able to connect with other people that enjoy nature as much as me. Yeah, I'm still really new. So
Do you find that you kind of go back to your other studies with a new perspective, or with your batteries recharged in some way? Anyone can answer that too.
It's really refreshing to come back from like any outdoor activity. It's really refreshing, and it's like you said, like your battery is recharged.
Yeah. Usually after Nature Kids, you'll like want to take a shower, and then after you take the shower, you're like,
Yeah, like
I
that
appreciate
after
this
school
more.
thing.
If you don't get dirty, you didn't do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't touch the dog poop in the park.
Oh no! You gotta touch the dog poop and throw it at people. That's awesome.
That's the horse.
That brings up
Oh,
a really
yeah.
funny thing. I remember, so we do a day camp in the summer. So like people that do public school can do it basically. And when my mom ran it last year, 2 years ago, she decided she wanted to prank the kids with a really funny, very funny prank. There's a granola bar, the Lara bar, and it looks like poop. It looks like fox poop basically. So she decided she'd plant it, she'd crumple it up and put it in the park, and we'd go there and be like, I'm not sure what type of food this is, and just go in and eat it. You see the reactions. And the kids' reactions, the people that up close were like, they were so shocked at what we did.
Their faces were in like awe, shock, and disgust.
So my mom was like, you guys, she probably like a few of us that already know what's happening. She was like, come try some of this. Look, okay, and we just went over and ate some. And
And then the kids were even more shocked. They were like, ew! Disgusting!
Yep.
No, we're a different breed.
Different breed of humans.
I can tell, but I think you're my kind of people. I wish I could come and hang out with you guys. When I was a kid, it was the power bar that people would sort of twist into that shape, but I never knew that could be turned into a teachable moment, as it were. You guys are gonna remember that, I'm sure, for many years to come. This is cool. I want to hear kind of what your next plans are in terms of this entrepreneurship program, and whether you have any sort of words of wisdom for someone who's maybe feeling a little bit cooped up, either, someone who might live near you and want to get involved directly, or, maybe find something else in their area. What words of encouragement would you have for them?
Don't knock it till you try it, Gotta get your hands dirty once in your life.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I was
Yeah.
told about eating fox poo. They said, don't knock it till you've tried it.
Yes, sir.
Amazing.
It's been wonderful speaking with you guys. And again, like I say, it would be a lot of fun to kind of come out and see what it looks like in real life. The IRL, as the kids say, right? Or am I dating myself a little bit by using that terminology?
Yeah, well, thanks
Yeah.
for having us.
Yeah.
Actually, if I can throw in one more kind of bonus question, there's a lot of talk these days about screen time, and how to balance that, or find a better way to relate to the people around us, and kids, teenagers, and adults are all faced with these incredibly powerful, distracting, alluring devices that we can access at any time. What have your experiences been, both for yourselves and the people around you? Do you feel like your generation is kind of figuring it out and finding ways to self-regulate, or do you really need sort of these external influences, including maybe like a peer group that is just dedicated to actually paying attention to each other and doing in-person activities versus just getting sucked into that virtual world?
Yeah, so at Nature Kids, you are not allowed to use phones or any electronic devices of any kind unless you're taking pictures.
Yeah, or,
Yeah.
you're missing a limb.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that helps a lot with interaction between people in our group, and it helps people get more social interactions.
But
Yeah.
let's do kind of a quick lightning round, and I want each person, if you want to pass, you can pass, but otherwise, just sort of share a little bit about what your experience has been like and how you relate to smartphones and technology versus doing things out in the real world.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of becoming a dystopian world. I mean, Apple Vision Pro, what even is that? But there's this quote, like, I originally started because I was like, I'm a very social person. I was a really social kid, because I grew up in Hawaii, and I was a wild thing. I would run on lava rocks, apparently, scar my feet. And there's this one quote, if you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes a sacrifice. If you want to have like that connection that other people have with like either people or nature or the things around you, you have to be willing to go out and make those connections. You can't be expected to, like, if you're on one cliff, like if you're on the side of a cliff and what you want's on the other side, you can't just grab the rope. You have to try and jump, or it has to be thrown to you. So
Right.
you can't just expect everything to be given to you, and if you want something, go out and find it. If you're looking for something, just gotta go out and look for it.
I love that. I feel called out a little bit just in my own life of if you don't, let's say it one more time, if you don't sacrifice for what you want, then what you want will become a sacrifice. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. I can see most of the words on your t-shirt, but I can't see the whole thing. So I'm curious. This is sort of like the ethos. What's that first word?
What does
Something
that-
and land and sunshine and
Sand. Okay, it says sand and sunshine and daydreams and ice cream and besties and palm trees and flip-flops.
Everything I love.
that's what you miss out on when you're just stuck in the Apple Vision Pro.
Stop
All right.
decorating your virtual bedroom.
Continuing the popcorn or the lightning round. Anyone else want to share?
With my experience with technology, it can be a vortex. It can suck you in. You can get addicted to it. But Nature Kids, since you don't have access to any electronic devices, you have to figure out stuff on your own way. And since you're not distracted by technology, then you can actually interact with people in real life instead of just texting someone. It also helps with like activities, so that you're not just doing everything digitally. You'll actually get some exercise in, and yeah, stuff like that.
Awesome. Idric, anything to add to that, or what's your experience been?
I only have a watch. That
There's
I
beauty
bring-
in that.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, play watch.
So, I'll leave you. Well, I think cultural interaction is very important because it takes practice. As if you just are on your phone and just know how to text, trying to do that in real life is very difficult. You just need practice.
Well said.
I think the social part is the big thing because when you're on your phone, it's just a really big distraction and it just gives in the way.
For sure. It's much harder to have those real world connections when one person, you're not even sure if they're listening to you. They might be in a totally different world or having another conversation.
I think technology can be a really useful tool, but I think it has to have its place. And I think when you have these physical interactions, the friendships just are just on a deeper level, and they last a lot longer. It's a lot harder to lose touch with someone that you're seeing on a weekly basis. I think devices and technology, they have their place. Yeah, they can be distracting.
That's a great note to end on. And thank you all again for taking the time and kind of bringing me into your world a little bit. I feel like I have a much better sense of both what's going on with Nature Kids Connect. People can learn more at naturekidsconnect.com and stay up to date on what you guys are doing and maybe get a little bit of inspiration on how they might, if they're homeschooled, how they might just sort of structure their days or try to find a similar local group. Thanks for bringing me into your world.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
All right. Well, we'll see you soon and look forward to seeing what you guys do next. Till next time.